All right, so when did you first become aware of Cedric Coward? Because I am so fascinated by this incredible love affair you have with him as a player. And I mean, this is a guy that we didn't see, right? We didn't watch him play collegiate basketball, and a guy that really got on our radar, and I think a lot of NBA fans' radar just a few weeks ago. But obviously, you have had even personal contact with him well prior to when everybody became enamored with him, Combine on. When did you first find out or know about Cedric Coward?
So, every year I normally get calls from different agents and agencies asking me for just my thoughts on what a player looks like and what does he project to be, and maybe what he should be working on in terms of a player development plan, whether I'm involved with them or not, which in most cases I don't get involved with them. I only can do so many guys. And so a year ago I was asked to come to LA to watch him. I don't think I even saw him in pre-draft. I saw him for his pro day and was really underwhelmed with his lack of athleticism, as I wrote in the article. He looks the part until you saw him play, and then I didn't see any pop. Like, if you're watching the game, and let me just say this, on behalf of the NBA, I apologize for everyone who watches these telecasts and these shows. None of them have any idea what they're talking about when it comes to winning NBA basketball. They talk in narratives and cliches. They don't really, or if they understand it, they don't share it with anyone publicly. Sadly, tragically. Anyway, I'm watching this guy who doesn't really have any athletic pop in a league that I know how valuable that is. And I told the agents involved, there were two, that I don't see him as a draftable player this year coming from Eastern Washington. And I know that he was, I think at that point, already transferred to Washington State. I said he needs to work on his athleticism, and they asked me to talk to him, and so I did. I don't remember talking to him as I wrote in the article. But apparently, according to him, I told him, like, you don't jump, you play like an old man. You're really skilled old man, but still an old man. Like, we need to see some pop, man. And fast forward, I mean, I wasn't touching him some during the year. I think he liked that I was really honest with him. He didn't play but 6 games this year, so that tells you something about how little I really had a chance to kind of give him feedback during the year. I went to see him in pre-draft, and I'd already heard he was really impressive in pre-draft workouts with his own group of guys from the agency. So I spent a week in LA in May, and you could hear the dunks before you saw them as the ball was hammering down on the ground. And he's represented by the same agents that work with Ryan Nembhard in the draft, who's been around good players for a long time, as you guys probably know, and not just including his brother R.J. Barrett and Shea and all those guys. And he was telling me it's like I've never heard explosions like this when the ball hits the ground from a guard, which is really what Cedric is, in my opinion. So when I spoke to him, he said, "You embarrassed me, coach," and I felt terrible. And then he said, no, you embarrassed me because I let myself forget about the importance of athleticism and focus so much on my skill game, I forgot to be an athlete. And then when he jumped 38.5 inches in the combine and also did really well on speed and quickness tests, forget about the physical stuff, it goes without saying. That's when I realized, okay, he's probably the best prospect in the draft, but you can't not take Cooper Flagg number 1, which is why I put him at number 2.
Okay, what do you think changed so dramatically beyond I started to try to be a skillful player, but I had to remember that I do. Like, do you think there was a drastic improvement in athleticism, or that it was just completely untapped when you first saw him?
That's a great question. I don't know the full answer because I didn't really watch anything from Eastern Washington, but I did speak to NBA scouts who told me stories of, like, we saw him as a freshman get a tip dunk on this or get a breakout steal dunk on that. So that told me he had some athleticism when he was younger, and I just don't think he valued it. I also think, listen, guys, I saw Mari Stoudemire when he was in high school look as bland and normal as you could look. 1 year later, he was competing for Rookie of the Year and then won Rookie of the Year. I saw him as a high school senior stink up the joint because he was bored out of his mind. I think Cedric was playing with his food and didn't even realize he was that good. So you asked the question. I think the answer is not anything I did. I think he was going to the pre-draft a year ago, working out for teams, seeing all these talented guys around him and realizing I can be better than these guys. I just kind of gave him a little maybe keyhole to go through,
Okay.
But I also think he's super competitive and recognize, man, I can do everything these guys are doing. And as I wrote in the article, and you may be aware of it, the guy's made over 72% of his field goals for his 2-point shots. People don't do that against the air. And this guy did it in over 2 years and 6 games of college. I don't care if it's D1, low level, mid level. It's just no one does that. That tells me there's an understanding of what a good shot is. It's very hard to learn how to play this game. The skills are one thing, which he has. But Jalen Green has skills too. He can't play the game yet. He's gotten better. The guy that was in Houston, now in Phoenix. He doesn't know how to play the game yet. Cedric clearly has a feel for the game of what a good shot is, and then the ability to make it, which is a whole separate issue. He's got both. So combine that with athleticism, the freak size. He's got a swagger. He's got a maturity. I mean, if the guy had gone to Duke as a freshman, I mean, he would have been a top 2 pick in this draft. There's no doubt in my mind.
Let's talk about some of the knocks, right? All right, and you just hit them one by one. Level of competition.
Do you ever see Damian Lillard and John Morant's competition? Like, who cares? I really don't care. It'd be different if he averaged 9 points a game for 3 years against average players. But again, 72%, 40% from 3. He scored, I think, 30 against Northern Colorado that won like 25 games. You know what? The ACC sucked this year. Are we penalizing Cooper Flagg for that? No, nor should we.
Right.
All right? College is mostly a game played by men, professional men. And he did this very well. You can knock it. He didn't go number 1 probably because of number 2 or number 3. Well, the Rutgers guys lost their games against good competition. You don't seem to be penalizing those guys.
Yeah.
So I don't really care about that.
Okay, the second thing is nobody had this kid this high on any of the mock drafts until we really got to the combine, right? In fact, as you mentioned, he was going to go to Duke, right? And so is it one of these combine warriors? Oh, he interviewed great. There's no question he's got a great head on his shoulders and is a great interview. And then he had all of these crazy measurables. And so how can a guy, should you beware of a guy that rises that late in the process?
So forgive me for sounding like an old man. I am an old man. But forgive me for sounding like a cranky one. I'm not typically very cranky. The mock draft sites and the writers typically have literally no idea what they are doing other than getting people to click. Okay, that's their job. I'm friendly with many of them. Yep. But they don't know anything about the NBA, nor do NBA teams or should NBA teams pay attention to any of these things until very, very late in the game, right? Just like they should be listening to these college guys who are giving us the best available player for a league they know nothing about, okay? This is just the reality of it. Ask your team GM if he really cares what those mock drafts guys wrote, because I heard he was trading up as high as he needed to get Cedric, right? He was thinking, that's a smart GM. Because the reality is this, Chris.
You don't think Portland's the first team that you think they tried even earlier than Portland?
I am certain of it.
Oh, wow.
I'm certain of it. Yeah.
That's how aggressive they were. They were right. Until they could find somebody that would give up their pick to grab the guy.
Well, to be fair, I don't know that he didn't. Maybe they had a deal at 5 or 7 or 9 and said, you know what, we don't have to be that aggressive. I have no knowledge of that. I probably will find out.
Yeah.
But this is what you do: is where can I get, and then can I scale back? That's just smart GMing, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But if you go through these drafts, guys, start maybe a couple years ago. So you give everyone drafted a couple years, like maybe start with the Paolo draft. If you can find 4 or 5 game changers, you've done a good job, okay? I think Aaron Nesmith was a game changer. He only led the NBA playoffs in three-point shooting and played incredible defense for the most of the Knicks series. So he's probably Peyton Pritchard's a game changer. So if we can start with that level, Andrew Nembhard this year, game changer. You're lucky to find 4 or 5. I'm sorry, guys. Go through this draft. If you think there's 4 or 5 guys more likely to be game changers than Cedric, sell me on it, because I've looked at all of them and don't see it. Okay? I think I found one year where there were 8 guys. It was really an amazing draft. That's pretty rare, okay, to have that many. So if you're a GM, you're looking for the game changers. If you can't get one, and you may not be able to get one for lots of different reasons, well, they get someone to make sure that can play a rotation for you and all of that. To me, Cedric has a chance to be a high-level game changer.
One of the things you in that article, and I've heard you bring this up about him, is interesting when we're talking about comps for a guy, and you threw out Cade Cunningham, who, I mean, Cade Cunningham is a primary ball handler, point guard, right?
Amazing. He's amazing.
You think this guy can be like a primary ball handler?
Yes, I think. So take away Memphis for a second. Just think, generally speaking, if I was running a team, I would make sure he gets lots of opportunities to absolutely suck as the primary ball handler and let him learn. Like
we just did it with Bane for 2 years.
Yeah, true. I'm a huge fan of Bane.
Hey,
There's no other way to succeed than to fail first and learn. That doesn't mean you can't also play him next to someone else. I mean, the Pistons had Ivy before he got hurt, along with Cade. Brunson started off next to Luka. Harden started off next to all those Hall of Famers in OKC. I don't mind you learning as an off-ball player, but he has primary point guard. If you watched him play at Washington State, only because those players didn't realize they were playing with a potential all-NBA level player, because those guys, hey, all these NBA guys are here to watch Cedric, but I think I can do my thing too. Used to drive me a little crazy watching those guys play some. And I get it. That's how college can be sometimes. But he's got it. He's got that ability. He can really pass. And again, I point to 72%. Like, the guy doesn't take bad shots, or he's the greatest shooter of all time. If you can make 70% of your shots and you have bad shot selection, well, you're the best shooter of all time, including Curry. So let's assume that's not the case. He's just a very good shooter finisher. No, he plays the right way. That's a decision maker. And I would argue this: when you can make decisions like that on offense, you also have the fast processing brain, the Draymond Green brain, defensively. Okay? So, because I think he can be an elite defender. So, in theory, for your team now, you've got John, Triple J, obviously. Let him be one of your primary wing defenders. Let him learn the game. Hey, young man, don't screw up the offense. Don't get in anyone's way. Take good shots. Become a good defender, which is going to take some time. It's very hard to do it in year one as a rookie. Few do, but maybe he will. He has the length and the mind for it. Be in great shape so you can play 30-plus minutes a night when we need you. And we'll work you in towards what we think you can become, which is a high-level all-star player. At least one executive I know for a fact said he's an all-star. I had another executive tell a source that is absolutely impeccable, like he's Kobe Jordan. Like, he's that good. This is not me talking.
Come on.
I wrote it in the article, Chris. This is an executive with rings, okay? With rings as both player / coach, whatever he got, I'm not going to say. But not just one ring. Kobe Jordan, he's that good. His footwork in the post, his footwork on the perimeter, his shot is beautiful. As someone who teaches shooting for a living, everyone shoots kind of differently. I don't really care if you have bad form. Remember, Kevin Martin was like my son. So I don't really care. As long as the ball goes in, I'm good. We can clean up little things. His shot, I saw him in person. His shot is beautiful. He's got to get a lot better. When I read about what he's got to work on, it makes me laugh, Chris. Okay? I tell players, it's 4 years minimum. If you played 4 years of college, you got 4 years before you become an elite ball handler. End of story. And that's only if you played 3 or 4 years of college and dribbled a lot. It's really hard to do.
Yeah, that's why, you know what, I want to stop on this because you and I had this conversation one time. And I asked you, when I was talking about players in the draft, I said, can the guy dribble? I said, we just got exposed against Oklahoma City as they exposed everybody all season and along the way, right? Like, can the guy dribble under duress? And your answer to me was, nobody can dribble under duress, Chris. There's like 5 guys. Like, people can't dribble.
It takes years.
Yes.
So as someone who watched the finals very closely, try watching Andrew Nembhard, who was phenomenal in the playoffs 2 years in a row, really, but this year especially with the ball, and then go watch him play against Gonzaga, where he was a very good player, 6th man of the year, started in the national championship game, all of that. It's night and day. It's JV versus varsity. And he's in year 4, and he's 25. Mm-hmm. It's hard. That's why OKC plays the way they play.
Right.
It's just so everyone in the draft has to get better ball handling. Jeremiah Fears, name the guard. Cam Jones, who hasn't been drafted yet, all of them have to get better. The question is, what's their work ethic like? What's their humility? Right? You want to be confident, but also recognizing I'm not there yet. I've got to put in the time. And so knowing Cedric a little bit, I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to live in the gym because he wants to live up to what his potential is, which is, all NBA level player.
Do you feel like you are going harder on this prospect than you have? Look, I've known you for the better part over a decade now. Yeah. I've never heard you go to bat for a prospect like you did. And look, it's just by happenstance. Thank God he ends up in Memphis so I get to talk to you about him. You could very well be on a show in Portland today or wherever else, right? But your opinion wouldn't change about Cedric Coward based upon him getting drafted to Memphis or Portland or anywhere else, right? But I'm so fascinated as to why him in particular, because you evaluate players and watch film and go through drafts every single year. Why him have you gone so to bat for as compared to other guys in the past, to the point where nobody is saying what you're saying, which is that he should be the second player selected in this draft, right? You are on an island with him in a way that I can't remember you being on an island with a prospect.
Well, you don't remember because Memphis didn't draft the player. But the last time I was like this, my son was a freshman at Florida State, and one of his fellow freshman teammates was Scotty Barnes. So I had a chance to watch Scotty a lot. It was a COVID year, but I was able to watch on film and practice. Of course, I watched all their games. I talked to my son every day. He's got a very high basketball IQ. And when I did the rankings that year, I had Mobley number 1 and Barnes number 2 and Cunningham number 3. And as I wrote this yesterday, maybe I'm wrong. Cade Cunningham is just fabulous. Yeah. Who cares? But right. Any of those three are all NBA level.
You're happy with any of them.
So, but I was extraordinarily high on Scotty Barnes as a real game changer for a franchise. And that's how I feel about Cedric. Is he's just got that same kind of upside. And your guy clearly sees it. And yep. I know for a fact, so do some other executives that would have done anything they could to get him. They just couldn't get up high enough to get him.
Do you think he plays as a rookie?
I think he has a chance to start.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, listen, what do I know about free agency? If they bring in a better player than Cedric, of which there are many NBA veterans that are better than Cedric right now, he's a rookie. And he hasn't played in over almost a year now. Well, not quite a year, but 8 months.
Yep.
Absolutely, they could find someone better than him and then bring him off the bench. I'm not even suggesting what's smart. You just got to play him. But I think your GM is very bright. They're going to play this young man. Let him fail. Let him learn on the fly. And I like the pressure of having to win because of who he's playing with to make him take it more seriously, as opposed to a team that's just trying to tank. I don't think that I've never.
You think it's a better fit for him to be here than if he would have gone to Washington or if he would have gone to a rebuild?
I think yes, but also because of the hole you have with Desmond being traded. I think he fills that slot differently, but ably as a rookie anyway. He won't be as good as Desmond. I'd be shocked if he was as good as Desmond was this year. What rookie is? It's almost so rare to see.
Yeah, sure. You can't expect a guy to average 20 points a game and shoot 40% from three.
Right.
Right.
But I think that you're going to see what the Raptors saw in Scotty Barnes the second half of his rookie season. Like, oh, okay. We like what we have here. It took Mobley a bit before people realized, this dude's a Hall of Fame level talent, certainly an all-star NBA player. I think Cedric's going to show enough people this year where Memphis can realize, okay, he's someone we really build. We basically have our big three, which is hard to get, but that's what they have now. They have three legit guys that are all-star level players and better. Ja's got work to do, obviously.
Yep.
Triple J's got to get better. He's already pretty special as is. They both are. I think Cedric is a beautiful compliment to both of those guys.
And you think he can defend at the NBA level as well?
Well, that's
obviously the 7'2" wingspan is the 7'2" wingspan.
That's why I like him. The way the NBA is, guys, you have to have, if you have the high-level scoring guard, it's unlikely he can really play great defense. And if he can, you don't want him to too much because it's really hard to score on offense because you're going against the other team's best defender. You have to have the other dude that can guard the defense. So Tyrese has to have Nembhard. Right? Shea has to have Wallace and Caruso and Dort. That has to happen. So as you put a team together, you have to build that way. And so, I think Cedric defensively is going to draw a lot. Well, Jalen Wells probably too. A lot of the better scores. But I think Cedric can guard down a little bit, and he can guard up even to some smaller fours without doubt with that wingspan. Yeah, and he's agile enough and fast and quick, and he processes super fast.
Look, we're going to meet the kid for the first time tomorrow. The interviews, like that's one of the things we haven't talked about is just as a kid. Like the interviews are unbelievable. And you mentioned that in your article. It's
he's like a CEO. Yeah. He's like an executive. He has that. I grew up a Jewish kid from my dad was an attorney. I've been around some smart people in my life. They sound like Cedric. The way he talks, he's measured. What I like about Cedric, the few times I've really had a chance to speak to him, is he was a terrific listener. And I think he's going to bond really well with the veterans on your team. Not that they're so old, because they're not. What he needs to do, and this is the culture you guys have to put together, not you, but the franchise, is they've got to let him blossom. If it turns out to be, if he's better than John Triple J, they should be happy. Right? That to me, that's a really important thing. When Siakam got to Indiana, there was never butting heads over who's going to be the guy, even though Siakam clearly was a better player. Tyrese was young. Whereas in Toronto, they kind of set up a hierarchy where it was like Barnes versus Siakam. It made no sense. Those guys should have been amazing together. So if it turns out Cedric doesn't get as good as those guys, but you give him a chance to, fine. But he might be better than that, and they need to be accepting it because they'll just win more games that way.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing I think you always worry about with any rookies that come in. We just went through it, Coach Thorpe, this past year, right, where it was like 2 years ago was the down year and everybody got injured. And we got super excited about Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson. And they both had monster games and when we weren't winning anything. And then Vince never came back, was a shell of himself post-injury, and Gigi Jackson couldn't figure out how to blend in with the rest. It is very difficult for any of these young guys to come in and then understand where they are in the pecking order and being the best version of that, right? Like that is the brilliance of Jalen Wells, a guy that was willing and able to star in his role, right? If he took 6 shots tomorrow night, that's fine. If he took 12 shots tomorrow night, that's fine too. If he took 4, that's fine. But, bro, you don't get to take more shots than John Morant and Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane. And a lot of guys have a very difficult time fitting into that. I guess that my question is, do you look at Coward as a guy who was the man, right? Like, obviously, even in the 6 games that he was playing at Washington State, but is a guy that's malleable enough to come in and be every NBA team has stars and role players, right? And you're not going to be a star right off the bat. Can you function without being a star?
Yeah, it's a great way to phrase it. That's why I look at that 72% from the field. This is someone that really knows how to play. And it's not like he shot it a bunch. Like I said, if he was a bad shot selector and shooting like that, he's the best shooter ever. I think he fits in really good with that. And he's got the kind of game where he's not going to get those other guys worse because he's not a chucker, which like Cam Thomas would be a problem with John Morant. I like Cam Thomas, but he's going to shoot that thing a lot. Same as Jordan Clarkson from years ago. Those guys are chuckers, right?
Right.
I don't see Coward as that at all. I think my advice to young players always is 3 things. Be in amazing shape, play defense, don't screw up the beautiful offense your coach is trying to install. That's it. When guys that I work with get drafted or are rookies and come hire me, we sit down at dinner. I'm no genius. Those are the 3 things we set out. But like penicillin, give it time, it always works. Play defense, be in great shape, don't screw up the coach's beautiful offense. It seems simple. It's hard to do because egos get involved and complacency. I don't get the impression he's going to be that way. And I also think your guy, your GM, who's got ownership of this, isn't going to let him fail. And I think that's a super important point too. Is this kid has all-star talent plus. Make sure you build a system to allow that to grow and not at the expense of Ja and Triple J. There's no need for that. He's good enough where he can fit in. And again, look at Brunson and Harden too. There's lots of examples, guys. They learn how to play and fit in and win, and then they get an opportunity, whether it's the same team or a different team. In the case of Brunson and Harden, different teams, they became something nobody ever imagined they would become.
Oh, Gilgeous-Alexander as well.
Correct. Well, that's exactly right.
Just became the MVP, right? Like early in their careers, Harden, Brunson, Gilgeous-Alexander, if you would have asked anybody in their after year 2, if I'd have told you that guy's going to be the MVP of the league one day, you'd have thought, you're nuts. You're nuts.
Halliburton, too. Tyrese also.
Fair.
So here's the point, Chris. All those guys had to change teams. So to me, the real challenge and I think it's going to happen, I think the guy who moves up to get Cedric Coward when people thought maybe you shouldn't, although, I mean, he's not going to get it to 16. So if you draft him at 16, probably no one bats an eye anyway. You want to make sure you get him, and I think he was very smart to do it. You don't want to have to see him go blossom somewhere else. You want to make sure you build out that runway, let him impact winning early, and then move into the place where, okay, we got 3 potential all-stars. Because guess what? If you got 3 all-stars on a team, you're winning 55-plus games almost for sure. And you're contending for titles, which is the goal. It's why you moved up to get them in the first place.